Van Dijk demanded that he should score for Liverpool. Salah to settle in front of the cop. Vicious cross, Mane! Alexander-Arnold, it's running!
From doubter to believer.
Hello fellow Scousers out there, Nick back once again for another Statisfaction, a very short one today, both in video format and audio format. If you're listening on the podcast, LFC Couch is what you need to do to find this in audio form. Subscribe, we always got great content on there, we've got a great bunch of lads, and we interview big players as well, not football players for Liverpool, but big players in the footballing world and media as well, so check that out. But we're here to talk about Liverpool FC away to Fulham FC at Craven Cottage. And basically, I suppose the good thing at the moment is that there is no fresh injury concerns. The only thing that Jurgen Klopp has said is that Jota will be assessed before kickoff. Same with Tsimikas. We're not too sure what the actual situation is with him. He may be out for a little bit longer. Alisson, though, definitely was back in training, as we saw in social media. If you paid attention to that sort of stuff, you would have seen he was back out onto the pitch. So that seems to be good news. So let's have a quick look and check out the news care of PremierLeague.com. This is match week 12. And team news for Fulham, basically, they also have no new injuries, but Kenny Tete has got a calf problem and Terence Kongolo has a foot issue, but they're making good progress. They are a couple of their defenders, so they will be missing. As I said, Alisson and Ox could return. No, I just said Jota. Alisson and the Ox-Chamberlain could return to face Fulham, while Jota and Tsimikas will be assessed. So I was actually half right about that. My apologies. And that's basically where the extent of our fresh injury concerns lay, because as we know, we are out of the likes of, well, defenders. Van Dijk is out, we know. Thiago is still out in the midfield. Milner is out, could be a defender, I guess. Gomez is out as well. So we are light in the back there, but we still have some decent players who can deputise, and we've seen in the last few weeks as to how we can adapt. We've had a few clean sheets. Kelleher has done fantastic in goal, apart from maybe a mishap, which again was questionable in the Champions League against Midtjylland, when it took, 3-4 minutes to determine whether a player was offside first, then if there was a foul. That's VAR for you. And Klopp was vocal about it as well. Basically, he still stays behind VAR. He's still backing it, but he says the process of VAR has gone completely astray, and that's what is the real issue. So for the moment, possible lineups. Now we're going to see the same lineups that we've seen in the last few weeks. If Jota and Tsimikas are going to be out, then we might see Jota start on the bench, in which case we will see our normal front three resume of Mane, Firmino and Salah. The midfield, we may very well see Curtis Jones make a reappearance in there. Wijnaldum rested against Midtjylland. Well-deserved rest, I thought definitely needed one. Henderson, skipper in there as well. Trent came on in that in the game against, who would we play? Wolves the other week, smashed them 4-0, that was good stuff, and played a killer ball. So that is all good and well, because Trent with the assists is where we get lots of our goals. I think Robbo and Trent are still some of the highest assisting players in the Premier League, I think for Liverpool at least in any case. Defence of Fabinho and Matip, that seems to be the case, unless cardboard man Matip ends up, putting his shorts on a little bit funny and ends up injuring himself again. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. I know Peter Kofinas will absolutely be chomping at the bits for this to happen. Not because he dislikes Matip, but because we can all see it happening. He'll play 2 games, 3 games, and then he's out for a bit, and touch wood, it doesn't happen. Now, an interesting thing with the goalkeeper is Kelleher has had a few good games, but Alisson back in training most likely will start in that starting position against Fulham. Whilst Fulham are 17th in the league, we can see here they've won 2, drawn 1, lost 8, whereas we have won 7, drawn 3, lost 1. We are equal first, I believe, 24 points with Spurs on goal difference, and they are on 7 points. So there's a bit of a big gap between. That in the last 6 meetings, Liverpool have won every single one of them. Most famously, there was the 13-14 game at Craven Cottage when Gerrard scored an injury time penalty to win us that game, and that was getting late on in the season, so that was good to get a win there. Hopefully the same repeats, not with a late penalty, but with a win, it should be said. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the teams. There is a massive difference. We know Scott Parker's taken over Fulham, got them promoted, haven't had the best of starts, but they've got a few points, which is more than what Sheffield United have got, and that's saying something. So again, no fresh injuries, but we are probably going to see an assessment made on Chamberlain and also on Tsimikas and Jota to see how they fare. Chamberlain because he has been out from pretty much the start of the season, and because of Jota and Tsimikas who did play but copped a few knocks. Alisson, as I said, probably going to come straight back into the starting 11, and Kelleher has done well, and he's now most likely going to be our number 2, and Adrian going down to number 3. So nothing else really to it. As I did say, this is going to be a pretty quick one here, but just some stats for you guys because I know we all love the stats. Liverpool have won 6 matches against Fulham in all competitions. Our last 6, which has to be said. My apologies. I'm off my game today. Liverpool have drawn the last 3 away matches in the Premier League. That's not helping, but we are playing 17th, and I guess maybe there's a change of fortune there where we are going to go away from home and win. First win in the last 4 matches, it would be said by that point there. But we have scored 2 goals in 11 of our last 13 matches, at least. Fulham have been losing in both halftime and full-time in 5 of their last 6 home matches. So if we get a goal up, chances are Fulham may not recover. Liverpool have scored... there have been over 2.5 goals scored in 5 of Fulham's last 6 home games, so there's goals to be had. Fulham have seen over 2.5 goals in 5 matches against Liverpool in all competitions, so we are scoring 2 or 3 goals at least against Fulham. But Fulham have conceded at least 2 goals from 5 of the last 6 home matches, so they're not too bad at home. They defend pretty well, but in saying that, it is going to be maybe not as easy as we may anticipate. As the prediction says here from whoscored.com, I like Who Scored because they have the stats on there. They give you all the information, and I don't just read Who Scored and think that's exactly what's going to happen. I use that as a basis for information. It says here, Fulham were unable to build upon their surprise 2-1 win over Leicester with the result against Manchester City last weekend. They lost 2-0. City maybe missed more chances than they'd like to think they had, but you're playing away to Manchester City. I think they did pretty well to come away with only a 2-0 loss. The West London side have lost their last 6 league meetings against Liverpool, having picked up just 3 points from 5 home league outings this season. Liverpool have failed to win away in 4 Premier League matches, as we've drawn the last 3, as I said. But with a trip to Craven Cottage, it's a perfect chance to really get their title defence back on track. Reds sit level points with Tottenham at the top of the table, coming into the weekend's action, but could find themselves in 3rd by the time this game kicks off. So, yes, Spurs are playing before us. Could be the case where we are going to need to chase, and I don't think we like to be chasers. We like to be leading. I think chasing is not really our game, but that underdog aspect might work in our favour. I'm not sure what Klopp's got up his mind, up his sleeve, or in his mind, whatever. Jurgen Klopp says side may have struggled on their travels this season, but we're confident of a return to winning ways and extend their record against relegation threat Fulham in the process. Who Scored reckons it's going to be a Liverpool 3-0 loss. I think there's going to be goals, 100%. It's probably going to be more like maybe a 3-1 or a 4-1. I think Fulham might snag one. They might get a dodge penalty maybe, if they do. But if all goes well, if the boys are going to be back in action, if we are going to see the likes of Chamberlain maybe make a return, if we're winning the game comfortably, it'll be nice to see him get a bit of a run out. Trent starting at right back is big for us. Nico Williams could go back on the bench and be called upon if needed. Robertson looks to be okay as well, and was rested against Midtjylland the other day, but had to come on due to Tsimikas, and I think he'll be okay to start. He's had his own, not injury problems, but some niggles here and there, so I think he'll be okay. The one for me where I'd be keeping an eye on is that defense of Fabinho and Matip, not because I worry about them, it's just that their fitness this season hasn't been the best. Fabinho's been out already for a couple of weeks. Matip, as I said before, he'll play 2-3 games in a row and then he'll just, be out for like, a month or something like that. So hopefully that's not the case. But again, in saying that, we did see some youngsters debut the other week, which was good for Liverpool's case. Of course, we are also looking to see youngsters on the bench like good old Billy Cometio. I think it's how you pronounce his name. Cometo? Can't remember. Don't know how you pronounce his name. Let me check this out real quick. But we do have reserves. But I suppose the good thing is that we're not playing against a top 2, top 3, or even a top 6 team. We're playing against Fulham. No disrespect, but you are where you are for a reason. So we can, Cometio can come into the fray if we need him. We can also see that we had some youngsters start in the match as well. I think we had, what was the youngster that came on, Clarkson as well in the midfield, so blooding some youngsters. Divock Origi, pretty poor in that game against Midtjylland. And there's a bit of a viral video where Bobby and Allison are playing a game of celebrity charades, or like Guess Who, or whatever the hell that game is called, and Allison has got Divock Origi on his forehead in the graphic, and all Roberto says is, I am very lazy, or something to that effect, and Allison straight away, without even a thought, says Div, and they both start laughing. So it is what it is. Minamino, hopefully that guy can get some more hours. Hours would be nice, but minutes at least into his legs to play. Keita came back from an injury as well. Reece Williams, of course, I forgot Reece Williams. We can have him at centre back too. So we've got options there. I'm not overly worried about this game. What I am worried about is players getting hacked or copying injuries needlessly where they don't need them. And I hope that it's going to be a very good game, a very fair game. We've got referees Andre Mariner, the assistants of Scott Ledger and Simon Long, the fourth official of Keith Strout. In the VAR box is Lee Mason, and alongside him as assistant is James Mainwaring. So, look, it's not going to be a bells and whistles game, I don't think, but if Fulham are going to be Fulham that they have been this season, they'll be a little bit resilient at home, but we have more than enough to break them down, provided they don't defend in deep blocks and try and stop us from playing in behind. But I think we've got enough maybe creative players that we can call upon. Curtis Jones, for me, if we are looking at expecting Fulham to play a deep line, we are going to see Curtis Jones come into it because he's very quick on the ball. He can make something happen. If we still don't have Thiago, which won't be happening until the next year, which is only a couple of weeks away, but who the hell knows? And we had such high hopes for Thiago, and he's been injured because of a rash challenge by Richarlison in the Merseyside derby some months ago now, and he still hasn't recovered properly. So fingers crossed his recovery speeds up and we can have him back. Nice to see Virgil in the stands as well against Wolves the other day. It's nice to see him out there. His recovery has started. Gomez as well, kicking along. So fingers crossed all our boys will be much healthier and much happier in the months to come, and maybe even make a bit of a comeback towards the end of the season, maybe with a month to go, and play some games. Because we know right now, December, this is when things get real crazy. Every team is playing almost every 3 or 4 days. I think injuries are going to start piling up if you don't have a big squad to pick between. If players you're relying on are your game winners and you have to give them a rest to avoid injury from fatigue, then you may see yourself having to shuffle the pack and try to put pieces where they don't normally belong to try and make things happen. So hopefully other managers have got these things sorted out, because again, only 3 subs are allowed in the Premier League, even though every other major top footballing league around the world is allowing 5. Premier League still has not voted in favour of having 5 subs. So you are really going to have to pick strategically who comes off, who goes on, and how you time your subs. But that's it from me. I'm subbing out here. If you enjoyed this video, me talking off the cuff, which is more professional than this most of the times, I promise. I'm recording this at another time as opposed to when I'm actually switched on. It's actually daylight. Normally I record it in the middle of the night after Klopp's presser, but I had to do it the day after. But if you liked it, give it a like down there, subscribe, share it around. Don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on the apps, LFC Couch. We are also on Twitter, LFC Couch, Instagram, Facebook. All the descriptions are down there, so check us out. I have been Nick. This has been Statisfaction. Up the Reds. Let's hope for a nice win against Fulham, and then we can regroup, recover, and take on Spurs and regain top position in the Premier League, back on our perch, because that's where we belong.